Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to another Supatease video. Another week has gone by of the 11.1 PTR, and we have another round of class tuning adjustments and quality of life improvements. And if you want to make sure that you're staying up to date with news related to World of Warcraft, then make sure to smash that subscribe button. Let's get started, though, because there is a lot. So they're going to be doing another overview of the drive system, which is the new kind of zoom car system that's coming into the game with all of the races, and they're iterating on the feedback from it. The new arena map is going to be a lot easier to test as well on the PTR because it's going to be the only map apparently that's going to pop when you queue for PvP. So I'm likely going to hop on there at some point to try out some arena skirmishes. I have a feeling that solo queue arenas are probably not going to pop, but try and get a bit more gameplay on this new map and see what's going on with this because it seems like it's a lot different than a lot of the previous PvP maps that we have gotten. For Frost Death Knight, your set bonuses are getting a giga buff, I'm pretty sure here. Your 2-set bonus, your spells and abilities have a chance to activate a winning streak, which will increase the damage of your Frost Strike and Glacial Advance by 4%, stacking up to 8 times. Frost Strike and Glacial Advance have an 8% chance to remove winning streak, but they've basically added a benefit to when it removes it. You might sit down there and be like, what? I'm going to add up this and get this buff, and then my spells can remove it? That's weird. But now when you remove it, with the 4-set, it causes Frost Strike and Glacial Advance to have an 8% chance to cast Frost Scythe at 50% effectiveness. So Frost Scythe is a really sick animation, cool little AoE cleave ability that's going to be thrown into the mix with this stacking effect. But losing a winning streak will send you into a murderous frenzy, which will automatically cast Frost Scythe at 125% effectiveness. You will get 12% haste, and additionally, Frost Scythe will deal 50% more damage to the first target struck. Now, this changed a bit actually since I read this yesterday. I swear this also said that you got Pillar of Frost for 6 seconds. I swear these notes actually changed overnight, or I'm having like a Mandela effect right now. But either way, I think this seems a lot better because you get a benefit either way. Either it keeps stacking up and you keep mounting your Frost Strike damage, or if it resets, you get this huge haste buff to keep running and stacking it up again with all this extra kind of sustained cleave from Frost Scythe. For Druids, Moon Conform is coming back. And available for all Druid specs. This means Resto Druids can use Boomy Convoke. They obviously listened to the feedback for that Resto Druids didn't like that they could only do Catform Convoke. So Boomy Convoke is coming back, and you're able to blast out a bunch of damage like that as a Resto Druid. I think it's unlikely as Guardian or Feral Druid that you'll ever do that, but so this is mostly for Resto Druid. They're changing some things to Fluid Form and Lycaria's Meditation because there was degenerative gameplay where you could be like off global, getting into Boom Conform, using Fluid Form, and then retaining the haste from Lycaria's Meditation. So they're trying to get rid of like this kind of weird off global degenerate gameplay to retain secondary stats, which I think is fine, and it's just like a little bit of a minor improvement. And Improved Sunfire is basically becoming one talent now. To accommodate for Moon Conform, which means honestly as like as Boomy, I think you get like an extra talent point on the class tree with this, being condensed into one talent. Unless let me see, I don't know if they replaced like Moon Conform for Improved Sunfire and the Moon Tree or not. They've made some changes like that. But Balanced Druids will just learn it at level 10. Light of the Sun being moved to the class tree. I think I covered that in my Druid video. You're not going to get Skull Bash as Boomkin. You just get the cooldown reduction. Feral Druids are now going to learn Thrash through the class tree at level 10. Your Undermined 4-set bonus, Big Winner, deals direct damage equal to 800% of attack power, up from 250%. Apex Predator increases the damage of your periodic effects by 16%, up from 8%. So Feral Druid, I think, underperforming in PvE. Which is likely why it's seen such a massive increase. But sometimes numbers this big don't really matter too much. I think this bleed damage is definitely pretty sizable, doubling the damage of your bleeds. So likely Feral Druid seeing some very significant benefits from this round of changes. Guardian Druid. Now learn Verdant Heart and Class 3 upon level 10. Raise has been updated. Strike with the Might of Ursoc, dealing physical damage to your target and to all other enemies in front of you. Damage reduced beyond multiple targets. This change causes Raise to deal increased damage to the primary target even if other targets exist. It's a little bit of a buff to Raise. Resto Druids now learn Improved Nature's Cure in the class talent tree upon reaching level 10. This is just like minor little switches over. For Evoker, they were really trying to focus in on buffing some of the lesser represented hero talent trees. So looking at Flame Shaper. Enkindle has been reverted back to 20% essence ability damage, down from 25. Engulf's cooldown is going down by 3 seconds. I don't know how that's going to feel. I feel like when you desync abilities like that are on nice numbers like 15, 30, 45, and 60, kind of gets a little bit weird. But Consume Flame now consumes 2 seconds of Fire Breath and Dream Breath, down from 4, so you get to keep more of your hot. But Consume Flame is now 750% of the amount consumed, up from 375%. So I think it's intended to be the same number, but it doesn't remove your hot entirely. And healing is now 300% of the amount consumed, because they doubled the amount of the healing, but then they halved the amount consumed from the effect. So I think this is, maybe they were concerned with you just like constantly removing your dot or your hot and then not being able to keep consistent healing going, so you don't completely remove it, you get a little bit of a juice on it. I don't think it's probably going to end up being too big of a deal either way. Expanded Lungs increases the damage or healing over time of Fire Breath and Dream Breath by 30%, up from 25, so a little bit of 5% buff to those abilities. Augmentation Evoker is getting giga nerfed. They're getting giga nerfed. Ebb and Might no longer applies to tanks and healers, and I don't know if that's going to be the case in PvP as well, but if that is the case in PvP as well, it is getting giga nerfed. Closest Clutchmates has been re-added. Ebb and Might and Breath of Eons are now 25% more effective outside of raid, so they're going to be stronger on the damage dealers, but they're not going to interact too much with tanks and healers as far as increasing survivability of the group, which I think for Mythic Plus has been the main problem for their viability. People just bring them because they make the group unkillable. So this is their attempts at trying to reduce that level of effectiveness. It's interesting that PvE is seeing the same problems that PvP did, right? Like these specs that make defense way too high and nothing dies and everybody takes them into their groups. And that's when PvP has been at its worst in my mind as well. And they're having literally the same experiences. For Hunter, Panthara cats no longer require fresh Talbook meat to tame. You can tame pets without needing meat. Neat. Dark Ranger Shadow Hounds has been updated. Dark Hounds now deal damage to nearby enemies when they attack for marksmanship and Beast Mastery Hunters. Previously it was only Beast Mastery. Withering Fire stacks will no longer reset after dungeon boss combat. Fixed an issue causing Black Arrow to deal more damage than intended for Hunters and PvE only. Fixed an issue causing Dark Hounds to trigger less often than intended. So Dark Hounds are getting a little bit more juice with this and some bug fixes overall, but not really a big deal for Dark Ranger. For Pack Leader, Hogstrider can now be consumed by procs such as Snakeskin Quiver. Rend Flesh now benefits from unnatural causes. Rend Flesh can now crit. Ursine Fury now appropriately grants its cooldown reduction to Flanking Strike and Butchery. Fixed an issue that caused the Wyvern's damage buff aura to be incorrectly tied to the duration of its visual effect and thus appear to fall off at random durations. The summoning order of Pack Leader's beasts is no longer random, and beast summons will no longer repeat. So the summoning order will be Wyvern, Boar, and Bear. I think that's good. I think removing the RNG from this is definitely necessary. Otherwise, if you just get the most strong animal over and over and over and over, you can just have an insane run, whether it's PvP or PvE. So nice little synergy improvements, quality of life enhancements for Pack Leader. Overall, I think good changes for that. For Beast Mastery, Solitarity's Companion's Aura will now be removed and applied more consistently. For Pack Leader, Lead from the Front has been updated. Now also increases the damage of your pets by 15%. This is a much bigger buff for Beast Mastery. I know it's under Beast Mastery, so I don't know if this is included for Survival or not, but your pet damage to Survival is not even really a big deal. I think this is honestly maybe scary for Beast Mastery Hunter to be getting 15% more damage from your pets on Pack Leader. It's definitely making me think you're going to be checking that talent tree out more than previously. Marksman getting a lot of attention in this update as well. Feathered Frenzy has been updated. Now increases your chance to apply Spotter's Mark by 100% up from 50, so buffs. Eagle Accuracy has been updated. Now increases rapid fire and aim shot damage by 2.5 to 5%. Unerring Vision has been updated. Now increases True Shot's critical strike damage by 20% up from 10, and additionally increases the cooldown reduction effect of calling the shots by 1 second. Unerring Vision is now a choice node though with double tap, and with double tap coming back, this is going to get Hunters going to get really crazy. But double tap has also been updated. Aim shot and rapid fire effectiveness reduced to 80% down from 100, but double tap is now granted by volley in addition to true shot. So it makes volley a little bit of a better option to go after. I was thinking that you probably wouldn't ever take it again, at least in PvP, but now if it gives you double tap, it seems really good. Unerring Vision being a choice node with double tap means we're comfortable increasing access to double tap by letting it proc from volley. Our goal is to have Unerring Vision be the sustained damage choice, while double tap is more appealing for burst and AoE scenarios. Fixed an issue preventing tensile bowstring streamline effectiveness increasing from functioning under certain conditions, just bug fixes. Spotter's Mark's triggers from Eye in the Sky and Spotter's Mark triggers from Onarin Winds are now mutually exclusive and cannot stack. Fixed an issue causing Onarin Winds to trigger more often than it should, just bug fixes. Spearhead has been updated, now also benefits your pet's abilities and attacks. That's a little bit of an improvement there. Deadly Duo has also been updated, now benefits your pets and abilities attacks. Born to Kill now correctly increases the duration of Cull of the Herd. Flanking Strike now correctly applies its unique Merciless Blow effect. Fixed an issue preventing Cull of the Herd from functioning. Fixed an issue where casting Flanking Strike from ranged could occasionally leave you with an incorrect number of tip of the spear. So just quality of life bug fixes. This is standard stuff, I think. For Pack Leader, lead from the front is going to increase your pet damage by 30%. So they're doubling the amount that you get as survival, which makes sense because it's basically just kill command and it's basically nothing. So you get a little bit more juice on your pet damage. I don't know if it'll increase the damage of the pets that you spawn, like the bear and the boar and the wyvern, because the wyvern doesn't do damage, but if it increases those, then this could be really good, because the bear does a really big bleed, and the boar honestly crashes for some really big AoE damage as well. Time Anomaly procs now ignore mana costs. New talent for Arcane, Aether Fragment. Aether Vision's damage bonus is increased to 15%. It's a choice node with Lay Sight. Arcane Barrage is getting a 10% damage buff. However, Nether Precision will no longer benefit Arcane Barrage, which was, I think, after you missiles, you get 2 stacks of it and increases Arcane Blast or Barrage damage. So you're not going to have that kind of, the gameplay of this is being removed and Barrage just does more damage. I don't know how I like that. I guess they're trying to just make it very clear that Nether Precision is for Arcane Blast only. But it was kind of fun having it benefit Arcane Barrage and weaving between missiles and barrages. So I do think some gameplay is lost there. Spell Slinger, Splintering Sorcery now generates a splinter when you consume Nether Precision or fully stacked Aether Vision. So just interjecting it with the new talent. For Sun Fury, they're removing the Glorious Incandescence update. Spells that consume Burden of Power summon a storm of 4 meteorites at their target. Meteorites summoned this way grant 1 arcane charge upon landing. Glorious Incandescence change is completely reverted. They're just going completely back on Arcane for Sun Fury. For Frostfire, excess frost cooldown reduction reduced to 5 from 10. So a significant cooldown reduction lost there. Although, I don't know how. I guess like you're getting your Frost Nova back really fast, or maybe your Ice Block back really fast. For Sun Fury, they fixed an issue causing Ignite the Future to not increase mana cascade stacks. For Frost, Wintertide has been updated. Damage from Frostbolt and Flurry increases the damage of your Icicles and Glacial Spike by 4%, stack up to 4 times. Now that Fingers of Frost doesn't consume Winter's Chill, Wintertide has the potential to create some unintuitive rotational priorities. So this is, I think what's happening is they made a lot of really big radical changes, and there's a lot of stuff that's starting to like unwind, with other talents and other synergies, which is kind of the dangers of doing such a big amount of changes all at once like this. But they're trying to stay on top of it. Hopefully they're going to be able to catch all of them, because this patch almost felt like an entirely different expansion based on the previous round of changes that we covered, and now this one as well. Winter's Chill duration is being increased to 8 seconds up from 6. Fingers of Frost Frozen Orb chance to trigger reduced from 10 to 5. So they're really trying to get rid of your instant procs. Blizzard damage has also been reduced by 40%, and they're aware of some bugs with it. Comet Storm, Glacial Assault, Wintertide, and Lonely Winter have had their positions changed on the talent tree. Okay, that's definitely, if you're a mage, you're going to want to know where that's all going. And for Frostfire, the same deal. Frost cooldown reduction reduced to 5 seconds down from 10. Mistweaver is getting a really big change, and I've seen a lot of Mistweavers really happy about it, so let's see what it is. Jade Bond has been redesigned. Chi Cocoons now apply enveloping mist for 4 seconds when they expire or consumed, and Chi-Ji's Gusts of Mist healing is increased by 40%, and Yulon's Soothing Breath healing is increased by 500%. Developers notes these changes to Jade Bond are intended to refocus Chi-Ji into a powerful cooldown that encourages more intentional uses, or reducing the baseline cooldown of both Celestials to account for the loss of dynamic cooldown reduction, and increasing the effectiveness of Chi Cocoons cast by longer cooldown Celestials to make intentional uses of this longer cooldown feel more immediately impactful. So you're getting stronger but longer cooldowns. The cooldowns of Invoke Chi-Ji and Red Crane and Yulon and Jade Serpent have been reduced to a base 2 minutes from 3. Chi Cocoon's absorb amount now scales with the cooldown of your Celestial, now 100% more effective when not using Gift of the Celestials. Jade Empowerment now increases Crackling Jade Lightning's damage by 3,000%, up from 2,000%, and cleaves at 10% effectiveness. So it's more single target damage, but less AoE. Lotus Infusion increases healing by 10%, up from 8. Small adjustments just to improve this with the expected upcoming class set to influence talent decisions around this talent node. And we like Lotus Infusion to remain a viable, more passive option for those who prefer it. Yu'lon's Whisper healing increased by 30%. Conduit of the Celestials damage increased by 225%. Okay. Heart of the Jade Serpent now triggers on every cast of Sheilun's gift and scales its duration with the number of clouds consumed. The goal of this change is to reduce the amount of tracking required to optimally use Heart of the Jade Serpent. So I think Cocoon is getting a lot of improvements here. I think Misters are very happy with these changes. For Windwalker, your 4-set bonus is being updated. Fist of Fury damage buff increased to 8% from 5%. That's a lot of extra Fist of Fury damage. Slicing Wind is going to do 33% more damage. However, the distance that you travel is being decreased. And remember, it replaces Flying Serpent Kick. So I don't know how happy you're about how happy you are about losing movement on this. Are they intending this to actually be a damage ability or a mobility ability, or just both? Zwen's Bond now reduces the cooldown of Invoke Zwen and the White Tiger by a static 30 seconds. The Last Emperor's Capacitator now increases damage to Crackling Jade Lightning by 400% stack, up from 200%. So I really want people to crackle. Power of the Thunder King now cleaves Crackling Jade Lightning at 80% effectiveness. So let's cleave, but they want more single target out of this. They really want you guys pressing Crackle. Conduit of the Celestials. Heart of the Jade Serpent now triggers each time you cast Strike of the Windlord, but its duration has been decreased to 6 seconds for Windwalker monks. We'd like to reduce the tracking required around Heart of the Jade Serpent, as well as make it a more fundamental part of playing as a conduit of the Celestial Monk. Rising Sun Kick has been added back to the Heart of the Jade Serpent for Windwalker monks, where we weren't satisfied with the rotational outcome of this change and are reverting it. I think this is good when they want to make a change to improve something or try something different, and then realizing that it doesn't work and going back on it. That I think is really important, rather than like doubling down on something that just isn't improving the game. Lightsmith for Paladin, tempered in battle, sacred weapons health redistribution may only occur once per cast. That's a lot less healing. That is a lot less healing. Holy Paladin's getting a whole bunch of buffs I didn't think that they needed. Commanding Light now increases the healing transfer of Beacon of Light, though, by 5% now. Okay, so they're nerfing Beacon, but they're buffing your spells. Truth Prevails, healing decreased by 20%. Greater Judgment Absorb reduced by 25%. Holy Prism, though, is increased by 20%. Holy Shock is doing 100% more damage. Holy Shock Healing is doing 40% more healing. Light of Dawn healing increased by 15%. Holy Light healing increased by 20% and now costs 7% of your base mana. So it costs a little bit more mana. Divine Favor now increases healing done by Holy Light or Flash of Light by up to 20%, was 40%. So they're nerfing Divine Favor as well. These changes are targeted at redistributing some of Holy Paladin's healing breakdown into a few active healing spells that are not having enough direct impact. So they don't like the passive elements of the damage healing components. They want you like just active healing buttons to do more, I think. In PvP, I think it just means Holy Shock's going to be really good. But for Templar Ret Paladins, Hammer of Light now benefits from Undisputed Ruling Judgment. I don't like seeing that Hammer of Light is benefiting from anything. And it benefits from stacks of Crusade. The reimplementation of Hammer of Light inadvertently altered its interactions with Crusade and Judgment. We have now adjusted those interactions to match the current live versions. Oh, it was just bugged. Okay. For Discipline Priest, Aegis of Wrath has been renamed to Eternal Barrier and has been updated. No longer decays over time, and instead increases the duration of Powered Shield by 5 seconds and its absorption by 20% down from 30, but it is no longer reduced in PvP combat. Do remember they're removing Rapture, so they're trying to like make this work with Disc Priest not having Rapture, and it's kind of going through some growing pains. For Rogue, Coup de Grace now requires its target to be in melee range, and so no longer has a dash component when activated outside of regular melee range. So you're losing a little bit of mobility here. I think that's more than fair with Outlaw Rogue. Given how tanky it is, how much damage it does, and the mobility it has, I think that's more than fair. For Shaman, the initial shield of Stone Bulwark Totem is undispellable. The repeating shields will remain dispellable, and nobody really cares. That initial shield, you won't be able to remove that. So Shamans are getting a bit more tanky. Ascendance now requires a target to cast. Flame Shock and Lava Burst from casting, it will always hit your primary target. Lightning Rod's visual has been updated. More visual updates for Shaman. However, enhanced with Shaman, catching some strays. Lava Lash damage reduced by 20%. Doom Wind's damage now, though, will scale with your mastery. Voltaic Blaze damage will now scale with your mastery. Same update, Lightning Rod gets a new visual. An issue causing Maelstrom weapon spenders to remove stacks of Winning Streak has been resolved. Stormbringer, Conductive Energy now causes Primordial Wave to apply Lightning Rod to its target. And when Conductive Energy is talented, Chain Lightning will apply Lightning Rod to one secondary target if the main target is already affected. If all secondary targets are affected, the duration of Lightning Rod on the main target will be refreshed. For Totem, that sounds fun in PvE, but I don't know how great that'll be in PvP. Totemic tremor damage reduced by 25%, searing volley damage reduced by 20%. So I'm not surprised to see Enhance get nerfed with how good it was performing, at least on DPS meters. While active, Surging Totem is replaced with a relocation spell that summons your Surging Totem nearby. The spell has a 6-second cooldown and does not trigger the global cooldown. This is a great quality of life improvement though to Totemic, so you don't need projection talented to be able to move your totem around, move the healing rain around. And miss out on the damage. So this quality of life improvement, but just overall new numbers coming down. Resto Shaman, a little bit of a buff, 5% more healing. Acid Rain doing 25% more damage. It's aimed at keeping Resto Shaman's overall throughput similar to their level before Ancestral Guidance was removed. And I was saying Ancestral Guidance being deleted is going to feel like a nerf. So giving them a little bit of a buff as a compensation. For Prot Warriors, you're getting 5% more damage. Shield Slam's getting 20% more damage. Brace for impact stacks up to 3 times down from 5 and grants shield slam damage 10% and shield block value by 5%. It was previously 5% and 3%. Punish reduces damage to the punished target, deals to you by 4% up from 2. Blood Surge has had its chance to trigger, increase significantly, and generates 5 rage. Instigate causes Devastator to generate 2 rage. These are big buffs for Prot Warrior. Practiced Strikes increases rage generated by shield slam by 3. And for Mountain Thane, Avatar of the Storm has a chance to grant 6 seconds of Avatar up from 4. Those are really big buffs for Prot Warrior. Now, I do think they did do PvP changes as well. So here they are. Tranquility for Resto Druid is going to do 100% more healing. We don't get the immunity. I think you have to lose the cooldown reduction to get the immunity on this talent now, though, because the PvP talent immunity is being removed. So I'm wondering what this is aimed for, unless they just really want Tranquility to be like a cool moment, like get behind a pillar, get a Tranquility off like you used to with the old school Tranquility. Diamond Ice Trap is getting a nerf. It's going down from 5 seconds to 4 seconds. So Cyclone is not the only undispellable CC being reduced in power here. Curious to see if they target Imprison as well for Demon Hunters. Improved Streamline's effectiveness reduced by 50% PvP combats. They're catching, Marksman's getting preemptive nerfs already to its damage. This seems really random. Arcane Familiar is getting a 250% damage bonus, mostly just because Arcane Familiar is really passive in the Arcane tree. I don't even know if this number is big enough to make it viable, but I don't feel like it adds like a huge amount of gameplay. It's just like a little passive extra companion, but targeting talents that are obviously like underrepresented, I don't think is bad. I feel like there might have been other ones to go at first. Discipline Priest, Trinity is being redesigned. Atonement duration increased by 10 seconds. Smite, Penance, and Void Blast have 30% reduced cast times when you have Atonement on 3 or more allies. Okay, so this is to try and make a Void Weaver a more viable option in PvP, which I think is good. I think honestly that makes it seem like it's really fun. Void Blast can be really fast. Stack that with Power Infusion. Aegis of Wrath has been renamed to Eternal Barrier and is no longer reduced in PvP combat. That's from the changes up above. And Resto Shaman's Whispering Waves now duplicates 25% of healing waves healing in PvP combat, up from 10%. Now, do note we're still like probably at least a month or maybe more away from this patch actually going live. And it seems to me like their main focus is all hands on deck on trying to make Mythic Plus and rating more successful. They added a renown track to rating. They're adding a new high rating mount to Mythic Plus. It would be really nice to get some of that type of stuff for PvP, because we're just getting nada as far as trying to incentivize people to, retain playership or whatever the word is that I'm looking there. I'm tired. My brain is cooked. Seems like hopefully PvP will get some touch-ups like that as it moves down the road. And I'm sure there's going to be more class changes week to week. But obviously, like right now, as far as like updates for PvP, seem to be pretty limited. So the news on this channel is likely going to be broadening out to the entire game, rating PvE and PvP, just because there's going to be, I can't make content. I literally can't make videos if they're not going to do any major updates to PvP. So I hope you guys understand that. Not trying to bait you with the videos or the titles in that sense. We're just going to be covering more broad topics in World of Warcraft. We're still going to do PvP, obviously, when it comes along, but I'm going to have to broaden out onto other news as well, because there's just not a lot. There's just not a lot that's going on right now, and it seems like all of their focus is only on PvE. So other than that, thank you guys very much for watching the video. I appreciate your guys' support, and I will see you in the next one.